Welcome to Jefferson County Post Sports. I'm David Swann here with Angie Stanley. Spring is on us, Angie, and that brings spring sports to our area. Our local high school action is sponsored by Angie State Farm, located at 1129 North Highway 92, Jefferson City, Tennessee. The good people at Angie State Farm have been longtime supporters of area sports, and we would like to thank them for their continued support of the young people of Jefferson County. Angie, spring means baseball.
Yes.
Tell us what the Patriot baseball team has been up to.
Well, they performed very well over the weekend over the Sevier County tournament. They had a big win at home against Sevier County after a loss at Sevier County last week. They had a really big win last night against Cobb County.
It's always nice to beat our neighbors, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Now, each baseball team takes on its own little personality. Sometimes it's power pitching, sometimes it's hitting, sometimes it's base running. What have you seen from this team?
So far right now is what we've seen base running. Lots of single and double line drives, usually going toward right field, sometimes up the middle. And really working hard to get on base and then letting your hitters take care of business.
Classic recipe for success: get runners on base, advance them through base running, hit to the power alleys, and score some runs.
Exactly.
It looks like it's been working too.
So far, so good. The Jefferson County Patriots are running 5-2 right now. Their two losses only being against Sevier County and then White County at the Sevier County tournament. And so, as far as first-year coaching goes with Zach Reese, they actually have been going very well. And really, honestly, they look a little bit more put together than what they normally would as far as first-year coach goes.
Baseball, pitching, and high school particularly, when you're talking about tournament play, sometimes you don't quite have the depth early in the season to be able to maintain that. We've been seeing a little bit of up and down pitching performances.
Pretty much, it's been, when they're not in a tournament, they're pretty consistent. But you can tell as the tournament goes on, they are wearing down a little bit. But especially like last night, a real standout was, a real standout was Brandon Saylor, who shot off 18 fast pitch strikes against Cobb County.
Yeah, and quality control for a pitcher is paramount. Usually a pitcher that can throw it over the plate is going to be a successful pitcher, especially at the high school ranks where hitters are usually a little bit more limited. But as you said, in tournament play, the depth comes into play with pitching, and it's difficult to have multiple arms sitting in the bullpen waiting to go, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, really honestly, when you actually sit back and look at it, these are kids. And the thing is they're still gaining experience. Most of these kids have been playing since T-ball, but they're still getting that experience, getting that gameplay, and really honestly, just, with the season being so early, they're really just warming up.
Yeah, and one thing that you said struck me. First-year coach. He's just now implementing his system over not only this season, but over the next several years. You should see an increase in the style of play being more suited to what he's after.
Yeah, I really honestly think that Zach is going to be really good at pinpointing his talent and utilizing it. From what I've seen so far, he's really been grooming these kids to his style of coaching, and I really think that we'll see very good things from the Jefferson County Patriots.
Look forward to what we have upcoming in baseball. That's great to hear. And that's what's going on locally. Once again, we'd like to thank Angie State Farm for their support of area sports. Now it's time for the Big Orange Breakdown, brought to you by Alpha Outdoor Power Equipment, located at 5715 West Andrew Johnson Highway, Morristown, Tennessee. Your local Gravely dealer. Angie, we've been talking about baseball, and that means it's time to get those fields in order. The people at Alpha Outdoor have all the equipment and expertise you need to help maintain a great playing surface and your lawn. Alpha is committed to not only local baseball, but to also bring you regional and national baseball coverage. Baseball needs good grass, and good grass needs Alpha Outdoor Power Equipment. Angie, tell us about the start of the season for the UT baseball team.
So far, we're not noticing a lot of consistency as far as UT baseball goes. They did the triple header against Ole Miss in the SEC opening weekend, going 2-1, or 1-2, with the triple header.
And that's kind of how these weekends have been going against the big competition for UT over the past several years. And in fact, for quite a few years now. That's got to switch, doesn't it? It's got to go from 1-2 to 2-1. Even though Ole Miss, I don't know if our viewers know, but they're the 8th ranked baseball team in the nation. Tremendous baseball program. But that's what the SEC offers you week in and week out in baseball. It's much like football in that you're always facing top competition. They really have to switch those weekend series, don't they?
They do, and they need a little bit more consistency in the bullpen. And because they started out the season with a bang, sweeping the Grand Canyon Classic, won all the games in that particular tournament, and then turned around and then would go 2-1 against Memphis, and had a devastating loss against Western Kentucky at Knoxville.
Yeah, Western Kentucky is not a team that you should be losing to at Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a bad program, but they're not a team that you really should be losing to. And it's those midweek losses early in the season have really come back to haunt Tennessee later in season play. Really, if you could boil it down to two factors over the last several years, it's been midweek losses early in the season, out of conference, and losing those conference weekends 1-2 instead of winning them 2-1.
Mm-hmm. And the problem that you run into with that is, with the inconsistency and stuff, is when you do face a team that's beneath you, quote unquote, you have a bad habit of overlooking, and your pitching is down, your fielding is down, and it allows for more errors, honestly.
There's a couple of factors playing in UT's advantage. Number one, this is a better start than they have had in a few years. So we want to be clear about that. This is a better start. Number two, they've changed their style of play a little bit. Under Serrano in the past, they've done a lot of bunting in some very odd situations, really looking at base running being their main go-to. And while that's a successful style of play in certain circumstances in the SEC where you have so many power teams that can put runs on the board in a heartbeat, that has been a difficult style of play for them to pull off. And they're going to a little bit more of a traditional hitting approach this year.
And it looks like, from what it seems, from what we've seen so far in the season, it's another instance where it's really early in the season. It almost looks like Serrano is getting his bearings as a coach. Took him a little while to get that momentum going, but I think he's really starting to pinpoint what his strengths and weaknesses are as far as his depth of field.
Yeah, and again, pitching, it's always the same thing. It comes back to pitching. And there's been a big injury with Dave Serrano's son. Is already injured early in the season, is out of the rotation right now. Big arm, major league talent, hasn't really shown it yet. In his beginning of his sophomore season, and now he's injured, and that really puts a damper on the bullpen. It
really does, because that was your starting pitcher, and you're going into regular season play now with somebody he can't throw right now. He is out for the season. He's going to have surgery on that shoulder.
Yeah, and he's a guy who could have been either a quality Friday starter or a quality Sunday starter, and those are so valuable. It's players like that help you win those series 2-1 instead of losing them 2-1.
Exactly.
Now, a slightly better schedule. SEC is never going to be an easy schedule, but a slightly better schedule. Of our SEC matches, I think we have less than half of them this year are against the really top-ranked teams, which is going to help out a little bit. But even the lower-ranked teams in the SEC are still quality baseball teams.
Yeah, they're actually seeing some very impressive teams out there just really stepping up their game. You're noticing a lot more talent coming into these colleges, a lot more than what you used to see. And you're also seeing a lot more players coming from high school into college instead of skipping college and going straight into the minors.
And the college training programs are a big deal with this as well. You're seeing a lot more development of players when they get to college, particularly at the SEC level. These are big boy baseball players at that point, aren't they?
They are. And really, honestly, you're looking at an age range where they could very easily go up into minor and major league baseball. And so I really honestly think for this season and going forward, not just with the University of Tennessee, but in college baseball in general, we're going to be able to see a lot more quality games, a lot more quality players. And I really think with that extra training, we're going to see a big upswing as far as Major League and minor league goes.
Well, and that brings us to spring training, because spring training is really kicking off now, and there's something big going on in the world. Not just a presidential visit, but there's something big about to happen in Cuba.
Yeah, it looks like they're making arrangements for Tampa to go down to Cuba right now.
Yeah, in fact, I believe I was watching one of the Tampa players who is in Cuba right now preparing for that game. Is actually Cuban and had defected from Cuba.
Yes.
Major news, not only in the world, but those of you who follow baseball closely know that Cuba is absolutely a world power when it comes to baseball talent. Opening up that Cuban market for Major League Baseball is going to be huge.
I really see in the upcoming years, as far as, as the borders open up for commerce and everything, I really think we're going to see some more, even because we already have some very top-notch talent coming out of Cuba. But some of the most powerhouse pitchers actually have come out of Cuba. And I really think that with those borders opening up, it's really an exciting time for Major League Baseball.
Absolutely. And to the casual fan, you would expect the Major League Baseball team to go and play a Cuban baseball team and, wipe the floor with them, so to speak. That is not what will happen.
No.
It would be very surprising if that is what happens. Cuba is absolutely loaded with baseball talent, and Major League teams are drooling at the thought of being able to have an open system where those players can come in and play without having to defect.
It opens up the borders for scouting and everything. I really think it's going to change the face of Major League Baseball.
That wraps up this week's baseball coverage, brought to you by your local Gravely dealer, Alpha Outdoor Power Equipment. You'll find them at 5715 West Andrew Johnson Highway. Now it's time for the fifth quarter, brought to you by the Dandridge General Store, located in the historic downtown Dandridge Square, and March Madness, brought to you by Volunteer Spirits, 921 North Highway 92, Jefferson City, Tennessee. The good people at Volunteer Spirits remind you, if you drink, please drink responsibly. Angie, let's start with a wrap-up of the men's SEC tournament. Pretty good showing there, really.
I was really impressed with the Vols' performance, considering the kind of inconsistent season that they had under the first year as coach at skipper. Yeah. But I was very proud of their performance, especially with an injured Kevin Punter, and I was floored.
Point guard play by a power forward, and he did it well.
He did it very well, and the fact that they made it as far into the tournament, I think, really honestly, I was pleasantly surprised. And it made me really excited to what we're going to see next season. Pure
tenacity, really. They just fought their way to a couple of wins and really just gave everything they had on the floor, didn't they?
They did. That was the most put together I've seen that team play all season. And just to see them fight so hard was pretty phenomenal.
And to be fair, Tennessee fans have not seen very good performances in the SEC tournament over several years. It's been a long time since we've seen a good SEC tournament performance, and I think we have to agree this was a good one.
This was a really good one, and really honestly, moving forward, I could really see us taking the SEC within the next 2 or 3 seasons if we keep up with the talent that we have now.
Absolutely, and the good news in my heart, my mind is, it's nice to see a team peak when it's all on the line. It's been a while since we've seen that.
Mm-hmm. And just really go for it.
Yeah. In fact, we're seeing another team begin to peak a little bit. Tell us about the Lady Vols in the NCAA tournament.
With the big win against, it just totally left me.
Arizona State. Yeah, absolutely. And that was a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a huge win. That was by far the best performance we've seen out of Russell. And Diamond DeShields just swept the court with Arizona State. And just really honestly, that is the most put together, that is the most consistent we have seen that team play all season. Honestly, if they would have played all season like that, we would have been a national championship contender. It was nice to see them play up to their potential.
A couple of things about that, though. A couple of really good points about that. Number one, Diamond DeShields starting to play with the team. And when that happens, this is a dangerous unit.
It is a very dangerous unit. With the duo of Diamond DeShields and Bashara Graves, you're looking at something that can't be stopped. Bashara Graves is wanting to leave University of Tennessee with a legacy. And I really honestly think that she is doing her part and forming the team and leaving the University of Tennessee Lady Volunteers with a great name, and honestly, they're finally starting to come together.
And that's the second thing. Lady Vol fans would have said, oh, I'm so disappointed about our seed in the tournament. This is the lowest we've been. This is so awful. How are we going to do this? But when you beat the second ranked team in your bracket, now you take over their seeding, so to speak, and you're going to get their tournament play, if you will. So they've turned the tables.
They've absolutely turned the tables, and really honestly, they're going up next against Ohio State University, who, by the way, struggled against a very not consistent West Virginia team. So with them going up against Ohio State, I honestly think that they have a chance. They could even make it into the Final Four. I don't see them going all the way to the national championship this year, but I do see them at least making it into the Final Four.
Be a great achievement at this point for this team, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think Ohio State is a winnable game. Final Four would be fantastic if they can pull that off, wouldn't it?
If they can pull that off and prove me wrong, please prove me wrong. And I really honestly think that if they keep playing like they have been playing in the postseason, if this carries on into next season, I really honestly think that we're going to see a turnaround in the University of Tennessee Lady Volunteers. But we can't handle another season like we just got out of.
And frankly, Ohio State's a huge game. That's one of those games, you win that game, your season looks like it was recovering. All right? If you lose that game, your season begins to look like what it has looked like over the past 3 months.
Exactly.
Which is not necessarily acceptable for Lady Vols fans.
That is not acceptable at all for Lady Vols fans. And it makes me fear for Coach Holly's job, and it makes me wonder what the future of the University of Tennessee ladies program is going to look like. They turn this around, beat Ohio State. I really honestly think that they
She's secure at that point, isn't she?
Yeah, she's pretty secure at that point, and they can take that momentum not only into the Final Four, but also into the next season.
Okay, well, let's shift ever so slightly here. Let's stay on our basketball topic, but let's talk about your bracket.
My bracket got killed.
Just blew up on you.
Yeah, it just absolutely blew up on me, especially my men's bracket. Especially with Middle Tennessee State beating Michigan State. That just murdered it. And then Kentucky losing. I had to completely reshift my bracket.
You're not that upset about Kentucky losing, are you?
Not really.
Okay.
I would have liked to seen an SEC team go on, but it's Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, and I know we have a lot of Kentucky fans in the area, but it wasn't exactly your normal Kentucky team either for the fans in the area. I think they were a little frustrated with this team as well.
Yeah, it's not a Kentucky team that we're used to seeing consistently. Kentucky needs to regain its name as a powerhouse, and they've obviously made that clear.
Well, unfortunately for Tennessee fans, Kentucky fans, don't worry, they'll do it. You're going to be fine. You'll regain your status, and it'll probably be next season, and it'll probably be at the expense of everyone in the SEC. So.
Probably. I actually really look to see Kentucky being the Kentucky we all know and hate.
It's really nice because they carry the banner for the SEC. I know we love to hate them, but they carry the banner for the SEC,
yeah,
so that's nice to see.
But they've got several big kids that are only freshmen, and I really see a lot of potential out of that team.
Who do you have going forward then?
Going forward, I have Villanova capturing the South. Really, honestly, just going through and finishing out their bracket They're playing very good, very consistently. Villanova has been a name thrown around in the NCAA basketball bracket for several years now, and I honestly see them at least carrying the South. For the East, I got Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I've been pleasantly surprised by the Fighting Irish this season. They've been really underrated. And
not known for their basketball, really.
They're not known for their basketball.
Good quality program.
It's been a good quality program, but Notre Dame has not been known for their basketball. It's always been a football school. And with that attention shifting from football to basketball, it's really looking like they could really capture the East. For the West, of course, I've got Duke. Duke is consistently, the Blue Devils have been a name in the NCAA national championship title for years. They pretty much got a legacy, about like the Lady Vols have always had with women. The Duke Blue Devils have, that's always gone back and forth between them and Kentucky. And for the Midwest, I got Gonzaga. And,
good program too.
Yeah, Gonzaga is a great program. I really honestly see them going forward. Honestly,
who's going to win it all?
Honestly, it's a toss-up right now between Duke and Villanova. If Villanova keeps playing like they have been playing, they very easily could capture the whole thing. But I think Duke, and really honestly, I think Notre Dame has something up their sleeve. But I think Duke's going to go all the way.
We're going to see soon, aren't we?
Yes.
That's been the fifth quarter, brought to you by Danridge General Store, located in historic downtown Danridge Square. And March Madness, brought to you by Volunteer Spirits, 921 North Highway 92, reminding you, if you drink, please drink responsibly. I'm David Swann with Angie Stanley. Have a great week.